on your Zeiss SL-120, you have a couple of parts that can break because they're made out of plastic or nylon. This is a spur wheel. This is elevation spindle. SL-120. First, take this top off. There's 2 screws on either side. There we go. And there's 2 screws on the next cover. Make sure you raise it up as high as it'll go. After that, and you have 4 screws on your lock rheostat assembly. Take those off. Here's your spur wheel. And this is your elevation spindle. Now when you've raised it all the way to the top, right here on this carrier, it's going to be fairly even. That's how you know you're at the top. And when you're at the bottom, this elevation spindle is touching this bottom gear. That's the bottom. So if you want to replace either one, you're probably going to have to take off this spur wheel, even if you're replacing the elevation spindle, because it won't go up high enough because your spur wheel is stopping it. So there's 2 Allens on top. Two Allens and 2 washers. Once you take this elevation spindle off, you'll notice it's loose. You can completely take it out. You have a spring, and you have 2 spacers that are down in here in the tube. 2 of these. They need to be in there in their spring. Put that back on. Just let it rest. Okay. If you were to try to put this spindle back on, you wouldn't be able to do it with the stops. And that's why you have to take off the spur wheel. It's got an insert, a bolt. This moves freely, this should turn freely, this should turn freely. Now you notice on your joystick you have a pin here, and that hits the stop on your spur wheel. That's what makes it stop. Now when you're turning counterclockwise, that's when you're lowering the slit lamp, and the stop will be on the left, and it will be just about right there. So lowering counterclockwise, it stops about right on the left of your spindle. And when you're going up, raising it up, the stop will be on the right spindle, the right side of the spindle, and it'll be about right there. I'm going to show you we're going counterclockwise. The stop hits right there. When you're raising it, going clockwise, the stop is right on the right side of your spur wheel. You might want to look at those positions if it's not broke before you take it apart. Whichever part you're replacing, we're going to put on our spindle, elevation spindle first. Got 2 washers, 2 Allens. Make sure you have some lubricant grease in there. Raise it up. Hold it up if you have to. Touch your spindle. Leave it a little bit loose. Go ahead and screw it all the way down. You want to leave it loose until you get down to the bottom. Going counterclockwise, that's going to lower it. Just before you get to the bottom, you want to tighten it. If it's moving freely, that's your bottom position. Now remember, we're going to be going counterclockwise to lower it. So we see our stop right here on the joystick gear. And we're going to want it to stop here on the left. So what we'll do is we'll put that in there and just slide it into a near position to where both gears, all 3 gears mesh right when the stop is hitting that position on your spur wheel. You'll have to turn it, slide it in, and see if that's the position. If you're not sure, if you got it close, put your screw in and see if that's the position. If you've got it right. This isn't going down all the way because I'm down too low. Gotta raise this up a little bit. Pulling this out of the way. I'm going to raise this up just a little bit. See, I was stopping, but I need to come up just a little bit. Okay, now let's try this again. See if I can get this position in where they all mesh at the same point. If you're not sure, get it as close as you can. Put your bolt in. Push your gear towards the joystick gear before you tighten it up. And check it. That looks like we did it. Okay, now we're going to see if it's going to stop correctly, being even, if the guides are close to even with the top of this carriage bolt. And it is. Once again, the stop is right there. You want to make sure it hits right on one of these reinforcement spots. Not in here somewhere, but on the top and the bottom. Okay, and see right here, we're even, fairly even here. And we're raised a little bit. There's going to be one empty thread in your spindle. It's going to go up. You're going to have an empty thread in here. That's how you know you're good there too. You've got an empty thread, and this is even. That's the top. Checking the bottom once again. You stop. You're stopping on the reinforced area of your spur. We're on the bottom. It hasn't stopped completely, but it's very near the bottom. That's how you know we have our bottom. Okay. If you had to move your joystick gear, when you put it back together, make sure you have just a slight space between there and a slight space between, a little bit of play between the gears. Just a slight amount of play. And if you don't have enough play, you might need to tweak it a little bit so that there's a little bit of play between these two gears and these two gears. Get it right in the middle, but not too loose. If it's too tight, you're going to have too much tension going up or down. And that should do it.